Hey everyone! In this video today, I'm going to be showing you guys how to make this pattern that I found on friendshipbracelets.net. You can even add your own variation to it as well. You can use more than 4 colors, you can use less than 4 colors, but I wouldn't recommend doing any less than 3 colors. So I was making these bracelets and I was having the toughest time trying to figure out a name for this because I really wanted to film it. But I didn't want to be like, oh, here's this bracelet that I made. I wanted it to have a really cool name, and I haven't seen this on YouTube anywhere else, as far as I know. So I posted on the community tab a picture of these 2 bracelets, and I asked you guys what we should name this bracelet pattern. And a lot of you came up with a lot of really cool names, and I liked so many of them. But the repeating theme here seemed to have something to do with Ys, or with wishbones, or arrows, or something along those lines. And you can already tell by the title of this video, obviously, what I ended up naming this bracelet, but I am officially calling this bracelet the Diverting Wishbone. And thank you so much to Mariah Johnson for part of the name. They had mentioned diverting. And I thought that made so much sense because to divert obviously means to cause someone or something to go from one way to another. And it does look very wishbone-y, and it does kind of look like a Y shape. But if you look really closely, let's look at the red for example, you can see that it kind of goes in and then out and then back in. I didn't really want to call it Ys because of the fact that it does go into another direction. And because a lot of you said wishbone, I thought that would be perfect to sort of combine the 2 together. But there are a few honorable mentions that I would like to point out that I thought were really cool, but when I saw the diverting wishbone, I knew that that would just be perfect for this pattern. So if you guys want to learn how to make this bracelet, then keep on watching. So for this bracelet, you are going to need 16 strings and 4 colors, so that means we will be measuring 4 strings of each of our color. If you want to do less colors, like the variation I showed in the beginning, then you would still use 4 strands for each color. You would just have less colors. And if you had more colors, the same would still apply. And if you're interested in the colors I will be using today, you can see them right here. And I like to measure out about 35 inches for each of my strings, and if I want to make a threaded loop at the top, then I would just pull out one of my strands and measure about 35 inches and then fold it over so that way I can double the measurement and have 2 strings. If you don't want to have a threaded loop, then you can just measure each string individually or double them up and then just cut the loop off, but if you do want to do that, just make sure you add a few extra inches to account for your tails on both ends. So I am quickly going to measure all my strands, make sure you have 16 strands in total, and do 4 strands for each of our 4 colors. You can have your colors go in any order that you would like them to. You can go dark to light, light to dark, or you can make it completely random. But for a quick frame of reference, you can see that I started from red to green to yellow to this sort of skin color. And you can kind of see how that made the pattern turn out. So for today, I'm actually going to try and go light to dark with my blue, yellow, red, and gray. So make your order however you want to. Just know that the string order should be 1 1 2 2 3 3 4 4. And then 4 4 3 3 2 2 1 1. So you can kind of tell from my threaded loop how I have my strings ordered. And we're pretty much going to be following this pattern in a sort of chevron style where we bring our outer strands to the middle, but we are going to do a few minor changes to make the pattern the way it is, like this. So because we mirror things on both sides, it really doesn't matter which side you start on. Just know that on the left side we do forward knots and forward backward knots, and on the right side we do backward knots and backward forward knots. So yes, this bracelet does use all of the 4 knots, and I will show you them slowly the first couple times, but I will link a video below for you to watch if you need to learn how to make all of the knots or if you want something a little more in-depth than what I'm going to provide. But I'm going to go ahead and start on the right side. So I am just going to take all of my strings on the left and just throw them off to the side because I won't be needing them right now. We are going to take our outermost right strand and we are going to do backward knots on all 7 of our strands until we get it to the middle. So a backward knot is a P shape on our very first base strand. Go into that loop and pull the working strand up from underneath the base strand. Pull tight, and that's 1 knot, and then you do it a second time to make a full knot. And then we pick up our next base strand in line, and we do the same thing. We do a backward knot. And we're going to repeat this on all of the rest of our strands until we get it to the middle. Now that we have that, we can move our right side of our strands off to the side and come back to the left. And we are going to mirror exactly what we did on the right side to the left. So we're going to take our outermost left strand, and this time we are going to do forward knots on all 7 of our strands until we get it to the middle. So for our forward knot, we make a 4 shape, go into our hole, pick up our working strand from underneath the base strand, pull tight, and that is a 1 knot, and then do it 1 more time so that way we make a full forward knot. And then we pick up our next base strand in line, do a forward knot onto that, and keep doing that on all of your base strands until you get it to the middle. And now that we have that completed, we want to take our 2 middle strands, which will be the same color, and we want to tie a knot so that way we can close up this little gap that we have up here. And I like to do a forward knot to tie these 2 together, but you can do seriously whatever knot you want to because they are the same color, so it really isn't a big deal. So for our next step, we are actually going to repeat what we just did. So we are going to take our left side of our strands, throw those off to the side, and then we're going to come back to our right side. And what we are going to do is take our outermost right strand, which will still be our first color, and we are going to do backward knots on all 7 of these strands until we get it to the middle. So again, P shape, go into that hole underneath the base strand. We want to pull that working strand through. Pull tight, and then do it 1 more time to make a full backward knot. Pick up our next base strand and do that again. And keep doing that on all of the rest of our base strands until we get this string to the middle. And now we are done with our right side for the moment, so we can just kind of keep those off to the side and come back to our left side again. And now for our left side, we are going to take our outermost left strand and we are going to yet again do forward knots on all 7 of our strands here until we bring it to the middle. And for our forward knot, we make a 4 over our first base strand, go into that loop and pull the working strand over from underneath the base strand, pull tight, and then do it one more time to make a full forward knot. And then we're going to pick up our next base strand, do a forward knot, and keep doing that on all the rest of the strands until it is in the middle. And now that we have that, we want to take both of our middle strands here and we want to tie them in a knot so that way we can close up that gap again. And like I said before, you can do any kind of knot you want. I just prefer to do a forward knot. And now this is where things will become a little bit more interesting because we're going to be adding those forward, backward, and backward, forward knots into this pattern to change it up and make it this diverting wishbone look. So I'm starting on the right side again, of course. And first what I am going to do is take my outermost right strand, which will now be the first strand of our second color, and I am going to do a backward knot on top of that first base strand. And then I'm going to pick up the next strand, which will be our third color, and I am going to do a backward forward knot onto it. So like a backward knot, you do it twice to make the full knot. Well, for this one, you do half of a backward knot and half of a forward knot to make the actual backward forward knot. So we have our base strand, we're going to do our P shape and do half of a backward knot. And then we are going to switch the direction and make a 4 shape on top of our base strand. And that is how you make a forward backward knot. And that is going to bring this strand over to the other side again instead of still going towards the middle. So now this base strand becomes our new working strand. So we're holding onto this and we are picking up the next string in line, which will be the second string of our third color. And you want to do a backward knot onto that. And then we're going to pick up our next string, which will be the first string of our fourth color, and you are going to do a backward forward knot onto that. So again, P shape, and then we do a 4 shape onto it. So that way our working strand will be put back off to the side instead of going towards the middle, and then this base strand will now become our new working strand. So we're going to pick up the next string in line, which is the second string of our fourth color. We're going to do a backward knot onto that. And then pick up the next string in line, which will be our first string of our first color. And we're going to do a backward forward knot onto that. And now you're only left with 2 strings, so that means we are going to make a backward knot onto that one. And now we have completed the right side, so we can put this off to the side and come back to our left side now. And we are going to mirror exactly what we did on the right side onto the left. So we're going to take our outermost left strand and we are going to do a forward knot on the string next to it. And then we're going to pick up our next base strand, which will be the first string of our third color, and we're going to do a forward-backward knot onto that. So we have our base strand right here. We are going to make our 4 shape and pull that string through. And then we're going to make a P shape and pull that string through. So that is a full forward-backward knot. And then that working strand will get put off to the side instead of being taken to the middle. And this base strand now becomes our new working strand. So we're going to take this string and do a forward knot onto the next string in line, which will be our second string of our third color. And then we're going to pick up the next string here and do a forward-backward knot onto it. So we make our 4 shape, go into the loop, and pick up that working strand from underneath a base strand and pull that tight. And then we make a P shape, and again go into that loop, pull the working strand up from underneath the base strand, pull it tight, and that is a full forward-backward knot. And now this working strand will also get put off to the side, and this base strand now becomes our new working strand. And then we pick up the next string, do a forward knot onto that, and then pick up the string next to it and do a forward-backward knot. And now we only have 2 strands left on this side, so we are going to make a forward knot. And yet again, we need to close up this gap here in the middle. So we're going to take our 2 middle strands and tie them into a knot. And now that we have that, we can move our left strings off to the side yet again and come back to the right side. We are actually going to repeat that. So I'll go through this just a little bit quicker because it is exactly what we just did before. But we're going to take our outermost right strand and we are going to take the strand next to it and do a backward knot onto that. And then we're going to pick up our next strand and we're going to do a backward forward knot onto it. So here's the backward part. And there's the forward part, so that makes a full backward forward knot. And this working strand now gets taken off to the side, and this base strand becomes our new working strand. So the next string in line, which will be the second string of our third color, we're going to do a backward knot. And then pick up the next string and do a backward forward knot onto that one. And now this working strand gets taken off to the side where this base strand will now become our new working strand. Pick up the string next to it and do a backward knot. And then pick up the next one and do a backward forward knot. This working strand now gets put off to the side, and this base strand becomes our new working strand. And now we only have our last 2 strings, so go ahead and just do a backward knot onto that. And now we have finished everything on the right side, so we can put that off to the side for now and come back to our left side. And like I said before, we are going to mirror exactly what we did on the right side onto the left. So take your outermost left strand, pick up the string next to it, and do a forward knot onto it. Then pick up the next base strand and do a forward backward knot onto it. So we make that 4 shape, go into that hole and pick up the working strand from underneath the base strand, pull that tight, and then we make a P shape. Pull that through and pull that really tight, and now this working strand will go off to the side here. This base strand becomes our new working strand, and we're going to pick up the next string and do a forward knot onto it. Then pick up the next string and do a forward backward knot. And now this working strand will get put off to the side where this base strand becomes the new working strand. Then pick up the next string and do a forward knot onto it. And then pick up the next string and do a forward backward knot. And now we just have our last two strings left, so we can go ahead and just do a simple forward knot. And to close off this gap, once again, take your two middle strands and tie them into whatever knot you want to make. And that is all you do for this whole pattern. Now your colors will be in a different order when you go back to the beginning, and they will keep changing. So if you want to follow the pattern, of course, I'm going to have that in the description box, or if you just want to play the video back from step 1 and keep following that. Now if you're doing more or less colors, you can still follow this pattern exactly the same. When you're on your last two strands, you will know just to do a backward knot onto it or a forward knot if you're on the left, and then tie your middle two strands together. I absolutely love this pattern, and I will be having a lot of different bracelets for this one. So thank you guys so much for watching this video today, and thank you to everyone who commented on my post trying to help me figure out what we should name this bracelet. There were a lot of great ones, and I am so glad we came up with the name that we did. So again, thank you all so much for watching this video today. Thank you so much for all of your support, and I will see you in the next one.